Hello, good evening.
Hello, good
Good
evening.
evening. My name is Sandra Jennings, and this is Passion Speak, where we give those with a passion a platform to speak. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to say thank you. Please go to the YouTube and like our page, like our YouTube channel, and subscribe. We'd appreciate that. And if you are returning, we appreciate you and thank you for returning because it just gives us life. We think that talking and bringing guests on, sharing their passion, inspires potentially many other people. So that's the goal. Tonight, I have the distinct honor of bringing to you Laura, and I'm laughing because I have a passion for what she is doing. Um, it's Laura Kopack. Welcome, Laura. She's fully retired attorney on the east side of Michigan, and she is Director of Government Affairs and Community Relations for Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit. And let it be known that there are other mechanical contractors association. There's some on West Michigan side, there's some northern Michigan, southern Michigan, I guess all over Michigan, as well as we didn't talk about whether it's national, but we'll get to that. Laura, welcome and thank you so much for joining us and sharing your passion with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Um, So we have a few guests. I want to make sure no one's commenting. If anyone watching would like to comment, you just have to click on it so we can see your name, and then we'll gladly take your comments. So let us know if you want to talk. Laura, the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit. Now, let me just preface this with my cousin said, I talked with my cousin Becky, and she said, "Oh, you got to talk with Laura." And I wanted to talk with her because I knew she was involved with MCA. She said, "Oh no, you got to talk with Laura. Got to talk with Laura." And I really didn't care who I talked with. I wanted them to be passionate about the subject, and I wanted them to be able to tell us about the subject because I am passionate about the skilled trades, because not everyone is going to be able to, have a high ACT or a PSAT and go on to a 4-year institution. And this and as we're going to see when we look at our little video that's on your website, this is for all people. And some of the girls, well, anyway, I'm talking too much. Laura, tell us about yourself, please, just a little bit.
Okay, well, I grew up in Detroit, and I went to school. I went to undergrad in Detroit, and also University of Detroit School of Law. And as I think in our conversations, I indicated that in my profession as an attorney, there were very few women, not only lawyers, students, judges, and that changed over the course of 35 to 40 years. And that's kind of and I retired from that because I had worked in it a long time and I wanted to do something different. I helped a friend of mine at LASED, the Latin Americans for Social and Economic Development in Southwest Detroit, to turn our organization around. And I did that for a year, and with the understanding that I was going to do something else, but I didn't know what. And as it turned out, they were looking for somebody with my skill set. And, it was, I work with legislation, I work with recruiting. In the past, I work with, in the industry, I serve on the trust, which there's approximately 17 trusts from pension, insurance, sub, and all the other fringes that we administer through our third-party administrator.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really challenging, but the most important part of it for me was reaching out initially to many people that had not heard of this industry and the many opportunities that afforded not only women, but people of color and people that had not heard of the organized construction industry, that affords them not only a paid job but also an apprenticeship that can lead to 6 figures depending on how hard you work.
Okay, so the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit, also known as MCA Detroit, is the professional association for the skilled trades, and particularly in this case, plumbing, pipe fitting, HVAC, which is heating and cooling, and then others as well, or just mainly those three?
Well, there's the skilled trades is a large, complex, organized construction industry. There's electrical, there's sheet metal, there's sprinkler fitters, there's the operating engineers. So there's just a whole gamut of organized construction industry that you can go to. It depends on what your interest is and what your passion is. That's why there's so many programs now to explore those avenues, like SARE, Service Employment Redevelopment, has a build program, and they will go through all the different skilled trades. They'll go through what the requirements are, what the pay scales are. And we have been active with that group. There's also NAWIC, the National Association of Women in Construction, that they also introduce women in terms of all the trades and their benefits and what is required to get into those trades. So it's kind of like a lot of pre-apprentice programs. If your family has never been in the trades, which many of us never have been, and didn't know about this area, and they kind of open your eyes to the opportunities that are available. And depending on what it is that you like to do, bricklaying, cement work, you name it, it's there. When you see a building going up, you see the steel beams. Those are the iron workers. And they also have different criteria. All the criteria are different, and they all have their own respective schools that train apprentices to become a journey person. So it's just not just the plumbers, pipe fitters, and their respective programs, because we have two schools, but all the trades have their own schools. The carpenters and the millwrights, they have just built a whole new school in Detroit, and it's 145,000 square foot apprentice school that they have right off of 96. And they spent $35 million with the state-of-the-art facilities to teach people how to become apprentices. So it's an evolving industry, and it's very unique and challenging. And I guess that's why, to me, I really like it, because it's kind of like where I was before, that you can really make a difference. And even a small difference seem great because it's evolving.
Okay, so I want to talk about the requirements or some of the nuances around becoming an apprentice. So the good news is anybody can be an apprentice. There's some boundaries and some requirements that you have to engage in, like you have to take a test. But the good news is that when I am an apprentice, once I'm accepted into your program, your apprenticeship program, I start getting paid. So I can learn the trade, and be an apprentice and do on the job training kind of at the same time, and they pay for me to go to school, right? And
That's correct.
when I say school, I don't mean the traditional 4-year education that you would get at undergraduate institutions or colleges and the such. And I'm going to right now show your website where ladies are talking about the apprenticeship program, but we want to talk about that. I want to talk about how I can get in this. So
yeah, they talk about this is the other college career.
The other college career. Okay. So this is your website.
Correct.
And there is a video. Now this particular one is for women, right?
Correct.
This video. So I'm going to play it. Okay. Let me know. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm learning more to progress everything that I'm doing in my life to be able to move on to bigger and better. This program is available for every woman who wants to interested in construction industry. You don't need to have any background. You don't need to know anything about construction, or you can be very in an advanced level, career level in construction, this program will provide you a lot of opportunities. I'm a tomboy at heart, and I think driving big equipment would be amazing. So I figured, hey, let's put in for this opportunity, and hopefully it can take me places. I joined the National Association of Women in Construction and found out about the wonderful opportunity that Project Accelerate is. And as a business owner whose products come into the building toward the end, it allowed me to see what happens before my items get placed in a building.
I'm hoping to gain a better future, and a better job, and better opportunities.
I started because I like it, learn different things, and excited because I want job and different opportunities.
55% of the people in higher ed right now are women. That's where we're going to find the talent we need to fill the holes that we have in the construction industry today. And Project Accelerate has really identified that issue for us, and we're embracing it and really looking to push the envelope in terms of where we go and how we can incorporate more women into our organization.
Nice. Okay, so anyone can become an apprentice, right?
Yes, as long as they meet the criteria.
Criteria.
18 and older, have a valid driver's license, reliable transportation, be drug-free, and also pass the test, which is the work keys test, and also the Wisner test, which is a mechanical reasoning test.
And that's all spelled out right here on your websites on that same page.
Yes, and it's the same for the plumbers and also the pipe fitters in terms of taking the test. And what I always recommend to people is that if you look at our site, there's test preparation. And basically, I mean, you would never take a test, that you don't prepare for. I believe no matter where you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And many people, because they work or they're busy doing other things, don't plan out at least 6 months, to try and prepare for it, because it's a question of, examineship skills. And when you take the test and work keys, it's timing, it's reasoning. And when you take a mechanical reasoning test, it's also the same thing. So you prepare for it. And I always tell people, make sure you give yourself enough time, because most of us are not good test takers, myself included. And you have to prepare. So that way, when you get there, you're not nervous. You're, even though you may not know the answer, strategy skills and how to answer them, and you don't panic. And that will make for a much better experience and a much better result.
Okay. So if I want to prepare myself and enter your apprenticeship program, and then I meet all these criteria, your age, GED or high school diploma, substance abuse test, valid driver's license, pre-test, and I get accepted, then I can start making a salary, right? And it comes with wages and fringes, and
right. Well, once you pass the test, you do go to an interview before a committee of union representatives and management, and they ask you a series of questions. Why do you want to become apprentice? Do you have any background? What were you like in school? I mean, you realize, and they'll tell you realize that you have to take a test, not only, with respect to coming into the industry, but as an apprentice, you'll be going to school once every two weeks approximately. And then you'll also be working. So that's a 5-year program. And then you'll go through that whole process of, your experience in learning the trade, not only hands-on, but also reading. You have assignments, and you also have tests. And a lot of, that, your succession into the next class will depend on your test, scores, and also your ability to do the job. And usually they'll ask for a performance review from your foreman or your superintendent to see how you're learning on the job, because you'll be doing both at the same time.
So it's a huge commitment.
Pardon me?
It's a huge commitment, basically.
It's a big commitment because it's 5 years.
Mhm.
It's 5 years, and during that 5 years, you're going to be doing just as much work as a college student, but you'll also be working and earning a living. Plus, you'll get your fringes paid for. So it's a big commitment when people, have a family, and you have to, work around having a family doing your study work, and also, being on time for work, because in the construction industry, they say when you're on time, it's usually half an hour early. If you're on time, if you start at 7, you're late. So
they assess your readiness before they even accept you into the apprenticeship program.
yeah, it's a quick about approximately a 15-minute interview. So, but they're assessing, how committed you're going to be, and what kind of passion you have, because people that are just kind of half committed, are not going to do well in the program. You have to be all in order to succeed. And a lot of people say, well, I have a fear. And I went to a recent seminar, and they said that fear was false evidence appearing real.
Mhm.
So, it's all in the preparation. And that's why a lot of times, if you haven't been prepared, even in terms of test taking, they also have pre-apprentice programs at the different community centers, either through workforce development or SARE or NAWIC, that they can prepare you. So when, all is said and done, they'll also prepare you in terms of doing your resume, your interview skills, and a back and forth. So when you get there, you'll be fully prepared. So if you're unsure of yourself and you don't know if you're really ready, some of these programs will really prepare you to get you going, so that a lot of that fear is totally eradicated.
Okay. I want to go back to the website. I want to see, so the earning potential, that's what I'm interested in, because most people who graduate from high school, they want to talk about career opportunities. They want to talk about, do I have to go to school? Because when you go to college, and I retired from college institutions, so I know, and I'm all for it if that's the way you want to go. But everyone, it's just not feasible for everyone. But if you want to be continually as committed, but you can't do it because when you go into college, you can't get paid at the same time.
Right.
When you enter the apprenticeship program, you do get paid at the same time, and it's a decent, it's not going to make you rich, but over time. And so I want to look at real quick something I saw on here. So beginning apprentices can earn $1,040 over a 2-week period. That is about $25,000 a year. That's in wages and fringes, while working and attending school. The fringes include the medical benefits for the apprentice themselves, their spouse, and their children. Over a 5-year apprenticeship period, apprentices can earn over $250,000. Upon successfully completing the apprenticeship program, they obtain journeyman status. And that's where, so now you're starting to get into a very competitive wage for, even college kids graduate and they're not necessarily making a competitive wage. They might be making small, but so that's encouraging for me. That's encouraging that kids can get in the apprenticeship program day one and start making money, and then gradually. So you and I spoke earlier. So your increases happen. So your apprenticeship program is 5 years, but you go up the ladder financially, and while you are working, you have access to overtime, right?
Correct. And once you get your license, your plumbing license, because the pipe fitters don't need a license, but for the plumbing, you do need a state license. You'll be making, much more money as a journey person. And every 6 months, pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement, you're getting incremental increases. So it's not, you're never going to be stagnant in terms of a wage, but you'll also be earning more, and you don't come out with a debt, like you do in college. And I mean, for me, I was fortunate for college. I had a scholarship, but had I not had that scholarship, my family could not have afforded to send me to college. And, for law school, the same thing. I took out loans, which took me 13 years to pay. But, a lot of people come into this industry. For example, I recruited some young men and women that have either an associate's degree or a 4-year degree. One of them was from University of Michigan, but he could not find a job in what he studied, which I think he studied English and history. So unless he went to law school, or a psychologist, chances are he was not going to find a teaching degree, because he's going to have to get a master's or a doctorate. So anyhow, he came into the apprentice program, and now I believe he's in his 4th year. And another one went on to become an electrical apprentice, and he received his degree from the University of Chicago. But his background was in lighting. So when he, told me it was, this was his passion, the lighting, I said, well, why don't you go into the electrical? Because they have various different programs in lighting. And he got in, and he did take his time. He studied 6 months out, and he was able to pass the first time, because the electrical test is one of the toughest tests in the skilled trades. But, there's a lot of opportunities depending on, your background. So just because, you may not have a degree doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful, or even if you have a degree, but have not found your passion in your college, network, you can always come back to the skilled trades. They're always looking for talented people.
I want to look at your website again. I want to look real quick at your leadership, particularly the board of directors. Was it the board of directors? No, that's not what I wanted to look at. I want to look at association members. So these are people who are a part of MCA Detroit, and they have companies. Like once you get through your apprenticeship program, you can do whatever you want. Now, these are people who have taken it a little step further and have done more. For example, Bruner Plumbing and Heating. This is a guy who has a plumbing and heating company. And of course, that he's making more than a fair living. Because he has a company that's over that, and he has employees and such. So this is just an example of, are you seeing this? Yeah. Okay.
And his son also works with him, and he went through the apprentice program. So in the future, when James Bruner Sr. retires, which I think maybe in a few years, his son will probably buy out his company, but he's learned the business from the bottom up.
Oh, nice.
And it's a Detroit-based company, and their company, that's run by people of color, and they've been in the industry for a long time as well. I believe that Benkari is also on this.
I've seen Benkari. Female run, Adrian Bennett.
Yep. And Adrian Bennett actually started as an apprentice in the 70s, and she became an apprentice, got a journey person's license, and one of the few African-American women that was a master journey person in the country for many, many years, and then went on to, other areas of the industry as an inspector, and then started her own company. And she's been very successful. And she is, I believe her son works with her. I believe he's an engineer.
AK Bennett?
Yes, AK, yes.
Okay. I don't know if it, okay.
And so many people that have come through the apprentice program either have gone on to start their own companies or have, work under somebody, and they sold them the company.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean, when you're an apprentice that you have to stay, or a journey person, once you become a journey person, that you have to stay in that area. You can become a superintendent, a foreman, an estimator. And you could, again, own your own company. I mean, and like Adrian Bennett, who went through the gamut. And there's another person, Eric Sabri, who is a Wayne County treasurer. He went through the 98 apprentice program, ended up going to college, went to law school, got involved in politics, and now is a Wayne County treasurer. But he tells me that he still keeps his journey person's card paid up just in case.
Okay. Beautiful. I'm looking through all these, and it just, there's so many there. Here's refrigeration. Refrigeration, is that considered like the pipe fitting and plumbing?
Yes, that's part of the pipe fitters. Pipe
Okay.
fitters work in large industrial companies and other general contractors, and they also do the refrigeration, and they also have a service component. If you look at some of the refrigeration, for like example, Costco, and that's an intricate machine that also has a lot of computer programming along with it, but they train you, how to work with. That's part of their apprentice program, that they train you how to work with those machinery.
So basically, I go through what I consider the whole gambit of the 6-month test training or pre-testing era time, and then I get accepted to the program, and you're going to pay me a salary. You're going to give me on the job training, and you're going to give me and my family benefits, and I'm going to get enrolled in the retirement program, and it's just like I'm going to be employed, but I'm going to be constantly working my way up, and not because somebody's out testing me or somebody is out schmoozing me with the boss and getting a job before I get it. It's going to be, I will get what I work for. I'm basically.
Yeah, you're going to be learning along the way. I mean, because they have, first period, second period, third, fourth, and fifth year. So you're going to be working your way through those courses, to learn the business, to learn, the trade, and to learn the business of, of the trade. And actually the plumbers have also a parallel path to college for those that desire to, not only do the apprentice program, but they can also pick up classes at Wayne County Community College, and the school will pay for you to get your associate's degree. So you can, if that's your choosing, if that's what you like to do, that's what you can do at the same time, and you become much more valuable to not only yourself and your family, but also to your employers in the future.
So you are MCA Detroit. Where else are there organizations that can serve the full state of Michigan?
Well, there's the western side. There's Becky's in Lansing. There's also the state MP, the MCA, that's run by Cindy Maher. There's also the Flint and Saginaw area, and then also the Southeast Michigan. So they're all over the state, and also each state is divided up into jurisdictions, and they're divided up in terms of the local unions. And they also have, and each trade has its own division of jurisdiction and how they work and where they're located, and also their schools. But they also have MCAA, which is the Michigan Contractors Association of America, is the national group. And that's a configuration of all the national corporations from all the different states. And they have different component parts, different committees that work on national issues. And they also have a board of directors, and they have a national conference that they have once a year of all the different MCAs from around the country to talk about the different issues affecting the industry and different inspirational speakers. So it's a very interesting organization, and it's very uplifting when you see its evolvement from at least the 9 years that I've been there. And it's been quite a challenge in terms of, trying to get people to know about it, because it's such a specialized area that offers so much opportunity.
And it's getting a facelift because of the pandemic and
Yes.
because of people wanting more career opportunities, and because your organization hired marketing people to get the word out, right?
Well, we've been trying to get the word out. We don't have an actual marketing person. We have a communications person that does our website, that does all our technology in our office.
Mhm.
We've recently contracted with some of the radio stations, to get our word out, to different platforms in the different communities. As I indicated to you, when we were talking, one of the big things that we've been doing, at least in Southeast Michigan, is putting together these career fairs and trying to get, not only the counselors. There's a road show during National Apprentice Week in November. And so we bring all the counselors, administrators to the different schools in the skilled trades, because for the past 20 years, there's been a constant push that everybody's going to college. Yet, within 6 months to a year, for whatever reasons, people may decide that's not for them, and they come back home, and then they don't have college, they don't have a career, and they end up working, in areas that don't pay that much or don't have fringe benefits. So we're looking for people that, may have had that opportunity, that, that college wasn't a good fit, but perhaps, the skilled trades is a good fit. And, letting, counselors and teachers and administrators know that, we are there, that we're looking for talent and people that are passionate about what they'd like to do with their future.
Mhm.
And also working with the city of Detroit to get more people, of color and women in the trades. And we made a concerted effort in the past few years through Mayor Duggan's STEP program, and just going to the different areas, that we know we have an opportunity to their career days. Like Randolph School had a career day for women last week, which myself and my colleague from us, Prudence Rose, attended. And she and I have put together many career days throughout the years to just get the word out, to let people know about the opportunities in case they missed it.
Think I can do it still at over 60?
I don't know if I could do it.
I know that when we were talking, you were saying that once we get so far into the apprentice program, if we don't want to be the kind of person who, like the plumber that I hired to fix my leak under my sink, who I paid nearly $1,000 to do all of that, that I can work my way up into different facets of skilled trades. I don't have to be one who fixes the under the sink, because that part, I don't know. Yeah, you need a pad for my knees and maybe a different kind of pad for my back as I'm laying trying to fix it. But I don't have to do that. Seriously, if I can do this program and work my way out of the industry, and I can become an overseer, where I'm a supervisor or company owner or something to that nature. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some young people that have gone through the apprentice program that have become estimators, and they're very successful, and they make very good money, and also have their fringes paid, but they're not out in the field. But they've gone through the apprentice program, and basically they have learned their way through the technology world, where they're very proficient with computer programming and estimating and getting jobs out and bidding jobs for the owners. So those are very, sought after people, because, that's a very, very, I guess, unique skill set that you've come through the apprentice program. You've worked on the jobs, you know how to bid your jobs, and you know how to get the jobs. So that's, one aspect of it. And the other aspect is, obviously owning a company. I mean, other people have gone on to, do project management. So you're not out in the field, you're working with blueprints, you're working with CADs, you're working with other things and organizing buildings. When you see a building go up, it just doesn't happen overnight and rise from the ground and get built. And I always tell people, do you think those people did not study, did not learn their skilled trades? I mean, would you even go to a building that wasn't done by people that are proficient in knowing what they do? It's a lot of math. It's a lot of trigonometries for some, depending on what areas you go to. I mean, but they know their trade. I mean, and that's why we have good buildings, generally speaking.
The guy that one of the guys is here, it seems like I've always got some kind of person at my house doing something. But one, I specifically, and you're not gonna believe this, I specifically asked him, I said, if I was going into the skilled trades right now, what area would you suggest? Now he's a general contractor, this guy, for the work that he was doing. He said, if I was recommending, I would say go into plumbing. That's what he told me. And so you know, for whatever reason, we didn't get into it because he was working and I like to talk while they're working. Tell me about what you're doing, because I love to watch. I love to watch a person doing their trade and their skill. It's just fascinating to me. And that leads me to just thank you for your time. I appreciate you and what you're doing with MCA and wish you the best. I really do. And I hope that you get all the students you need. Those students that are out there wandering, if you feel like you want to get down and dirty in some and you want to actually get your hands wet, you know, go into an apprenticeship program somewhere. There's so much money to be made. I don't know if I wouldn't have done that, you know, 20 years ago. If I you know.
Me too. I might have been a plumber.
Again.
Well, you know, there's a little poster. It says plumbers are builders of nations. And when you think about it, if you don't have plumbing, if you don't have water, you don't have cities, you don't have states, and you know, you're just not going to have a very well organized society.
Right. And we need that HVAC as well.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Global warming, it's not getting any cooler out there.
No, very true.
But so Laura, I appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Hopefully this video lands in the right lap of a person who needs to hear it. That is our goal. Until then, I wish you all the best. And thank you everyone for watching. And Laura, don't go away. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.